Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We've been visiting with Donna Jackson. She is the Director of Membership Development for the National Center for Public Policy Research. And last week or so, she testified regarding the EPA issues. And it's just crazy. And she started explaining how it's bad for not just all people, but especially hard on African Americans or Black people. Donna, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's just crazy how they think that they're doing well for the country. The government thinks that they're doing all these good things for climate and good things for, they used to call it global warming, but now they call it climate change. But it's just absolutely atrocious as far as the end results. Nobody's winning except people who are making a lot of money at the very top, it seems.
Well, actually, that's the point. So there's 2 points. One, let's create economic hardship for especially the middle class because they make too much noise and they're always wanting to know what's going on. The second thing is let's make a lot of money for ourselves. So this is really about the money. The climate change narrative is actually overhyped. There's not any apocalypse or harms or whatever they're saying right now. But the whole thing is having control over individuals' lives. You have a push for electric vehicles that harm Black people on 2 continents. First, the African nation of the Congo. And in the Congo, where 75% of the cobalt is mined for electric charging vehicles, they're using Black slave and child labor to mine these minerals. They know that that's what's happening. And this rule would make it exponentially worse. I mean, this is like having the cotton gin during slavery. And then the second thing is creating an economic hardship on African Americans who have lower incomes, who can't afford 2 cars, because the majority of people that are electric vehicle owners actually have 2 vehicles because electric vehicles are not reliable in harsh weather. So you're talking about actually taking away the ability for minorities who need a car because they drive further distances to be able to have job opportunities. You're taking that away from them. And so what are you doing? It doesn't fit their lifestyle because the majority live in apartments. They park their cars in parking lots on the street. They don't have private garages to charge. And then you're talking about a single parent household. So this is creating a situation that's going to be a catastrophe for Black Americans. Middle class, you're talking about lower middle class people will be pushed into poverty, and those that are in poverty will never have an opportunity to get out. And this is why this is so bad for most Americans. Only 6% of new car sales are electric vehicles today. Worldwide, only 2.6% of the sales worldwide are electric vehicles. The American people and the world knows that electric vehicles won't work, and it should be left up to the consumers to decide what they want, and we should let the markets work the way they are designed to. But whenever you have a government that pushes an initiative and it's heavily subsidized, you can guarantee that you're going to have scarcity, and the outcome is going to be catastrophic. Look at every Black community. The government is heavily in there, and everything from education to economic opportunities is broken into families.
So you make such a good point because, I mean, when you have the government subsidizing things, it's always, what's the hidden agenda behind it? What are they trying to do? When you're talking about people won't be able to afford the electric cars, so it puts them into mass transit. So then communicable diseases and stuff are transmitted easier. And then you have a thing about the cobalt mining, and the things that are happening there with the child labor and things like that. And then you think of when your car breaks down, these electric cars, batteries, the battery alone can cost like $15,000. Who can afford that? Where are you going to get the money for it? I mean, is that covered under what, you know, do they have a warranty on that? I mean, it's just, it's not sustainable. So when, you know, you bring up all these things, it just doesn't seem like there is a future. And, you know, why are people trying to believe this?
You know, I mean, they've really been dumbing down America. And I say that in a way because when you're looking at like Baltimore school districts, Chicago school districts, Detroit school districts, where you have 0% of the kids learning at efficiency, 0% can read at grade level or do math or all of these things. And you wonder, you know, how can this be? This is on purpose. When you see shortages, that's on purpose. You know, he went after fossil fuel because there's two things. One, it creates scarcity, but at the same time, you need fossil fuel for fertilizer, for plastics. I mean, majority of everything we have has some connection to fossil fuel. That means you're going to be lowering the standard of living for most Americans. The other thing is, whenever you create this kind of stress, what happens? The mortality rate of Americans go down. People start living shorter lifespans. They're doing this because they don't want zero population growth. They want negative population growth. The suburbs, the mortality rate all rose because we had private transportation.
And that doesn't even count all of the issues that we have with these batteries and these cars coming into the United States and being tied to things back over in China. I mean, like they have these big factories for the batteries over in Michigan, but those people are all tied back to China. And the U.S. is trying to cut some of those things out of our system. And I don't know, it's going to be one of those things we have to keep an eye on.
Well, and it leads back to when we spoke on the break about how the power plants are cutting down the power plants.
Yes.
And she brought up the fact that once this power grid is gone, China is actually
They're poised.
building power plants, coal-fired power plants. We're shutting ours down, and we have to depend on them. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Donna, we'll kind of summarize everything for our viewers. We'll be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Back.